Hey there guys, the Dirt Muffin here, here for Chapter 11 of The Golden Armor, That Awkward Day After. Comet took an extra hour to get out of bed. He really didn't sleep well last night, and upon waking up he found out why. Somehow he had fallen asleep in a storage room. Boxes and strange unused furniture, along with a glowing bust of Princess Celestia, lay about the room in no particular order. Comet was wedged in between some boxes labeled Property of Princess Celestia and Full Portraits. He tilted his head at the one box, curious. Was this a set of pictures of young Princess Celestia? Unfortunately, Comet's mind caught up to him before he could. A frightful image of a griffin bounced around in his mind, and he remembered why he was in the room. Valerie was drunk last night and had tried to lure Comet into something he didn't want to do. He shook his head to get rid of the memory, but a small voice spoke in the back of his mind. Sure, he had only known Valerie for a day, but he was willing to go somewhere. But she was willing to go somewhere with Comet that he had never been. He was slightly ashamed of it, but Comet prided himself for the fact he wasn't a tail chaser. He had respect for mares, but he had never had one offer like that before. He was curious, but he had to have self-restraint. Still, though, Valerie was willing to go through with it, even if she was a griffin, an entirely other species. How often did a stallion in all Equestria receive that offer? And then there was her figure. She was just as fit as any mare. Comet shook his head and tried to repress those thoughts. What he did last night in no way improves Comet's opinion of her. It was reprehensible, mean, and somewhat kinky. Comet reached up a hoof and smacked it across his face. He couldn't possibly be attracted to Valerie. Not after he admitted Angel was cute. Angel was his friend, and he had thought there was maybe some attraction between them, but Valerie had only known him for a day. Finally, able to bring his thoughts back under control, Comet pulled himself out of the piles of boxes and trudged back to the bunk room. Valerie, in turn, was woken up by an unusually loud Angel. Oh, God. Good morning, sleepyhead! Angel seemed to shout at a decibel way too high for her ears. Valerie pulled the pillow out and shoved it on top of her head. Go your way, she mumbled weakly. Evidently, she had too much to drink last night, and she only had, what, like 9 ciders? That was nothing for a griffin like herself, who had only felt this bad after 12 stouts. Was Valerie a lightweight when it came to pony drinks? She had never gotten to think of her answer since a hoof poked her in the back, right where their feathers became fur. Ah, come on! Angel's outrageously loud voice rang out. You can't feel that bad! How are you not hungover? Valerie moaned. Fat ponies have naturally high metabolisms, which means we don't get hangovers for long, Angel said happily, much to Valerie's annoyance. The griffin groaned angrily and pushed herself up by her claws, but immediately fell back onto the bed. Her head ached and pounded like never before, so she pulled her pillow onto her head, hoping to relieve some of the pain. Angel giggled to Valerie and extended a hoof to lift the pillow. She caught a brief glimpse of her pale, cold iris before her claw shoved the pillow back down. Angel giggled again. She was like Comet when Angel wanted to play around, so she proceeded to annoy Valerie until she got out of bed. Angel lifted the feathers on Valerie's midsection where her feathers became fur to see if she was stitched together, then played a game of tennis using her hooves and rackets and Valerie's tail as the ball. It was only when Angel had taken interest in Valerie's paws did the griffin decide to turn an annoyed face to her. Do you really have to force me to get up? She asked in her groggy voice. Angel gave a big grin to the irritated griffin and nodded. Valerie groaned again and shoved her beak into the pillow. It wasn't just the hangover Valerie was contending with. Something horrible had crept into her mind, and she was trying to figure out what it was. It was a sensation of warm lips against her beak, and some laughing and a taste of feathers and fur. Valerie dreaded what it might mean since her memory of last night ended at the tavern. but at the same time, the sensations her body remembered were pleasant. After breakfast, a plain oatmeal for Comet, fresh sliced pineapple and 2 apples for Angel, and a granola mixed with sunflower seeds for Valerie, the trio headed off to the recreation room of the castle. Angel happily chattering away between to both Comet and Valerie while they gave small responses. When they were halfway there, a Pegasus guard approached the trio and said, "Private Angel Beats?" "That's me," Angel sing-songed. "Captain Shining Armor has requested to speak with you," he said briskly. "I've been sent to collect you." "Okay then. Bye, Comet and Valerie," Angel stated with a happy bouncing grin. Comet gave her a smile and Valerie waved, but neither said anything. That worried Angel, but she proceeded off with the guard. Comet and Valerie stood there in awkward silence for a couple minutes after she had left before Valerie managed to work up the courage to say something. "So, Comet, about last night, what happened?" she asked tentatively. Comet clenched his jaw, wishing there was a way for him to get out of this. "We came back to the castle. I put Angel in the bed and went to bed myself," he lied. Valerie turned to him and stared him straight in the eyes. Comet hadn't noticed, but Valerie had a wonderful golden color to her eyes, just like Angel. He felt they were nice to look at, but they didn't. They conveyed the feeling that he was being examined, while Angel's were just blank pools of gold. "You don't have to lie to me," Valerie stated. "What really happened? You can tell me." Comet gulped down. You were tipsy and we almost, did something we'd regret," he stated plainly. Valerie stared at his downturned face and felt like he was hiding something. "If something happened, Comet, you can tell me. I will report myself if it's that bad." "No, nothing happened," Comet said lamely, before giving her a sincere yet awkward smile. Valerie gave him a confused look before continuing. "I don't think that's all of it." "Well, it is. You were drunk, you made a move on me, and it shocked me. The end." "Then you're sure we didn't—" "Positive. I wasn't tipsy last night." Valerie felt a wave of relief wash over her, and she relaxed. She hadn't realized it, but her claws were curled up and her muscles were tense. She relaxed and gave a nice smile to Comet, one he seemed to relax at as well. She walked up to him and said, "Why didn't you report me?" Comet gave a sincere smile and said, "Every pony makes mistakes. We just have to learn from them." He had just finished speaking when he found himself with a face full of feathers and a hug grip. Valerie embraced him gently, but tightened her grip to let him know she was grateful. No griffin had ever been that nice to her except for her parents. She felt an odd swelling sensation in her chest, and she thought Comet was just cute, but now she knew he was kind-hearted as well. Something she really admired. On the other side of the castle, Angel skipped along happily as the guard led her. It was a long walk to the Shining Armor's office, but she enjoyed the tour of the castle. She had tried to talk to the guard, but he wasn't a talker. It was pretty uneventful walking, but Angel managed to find something cool in every passage. One had several old suits of steel armor worn by knights back in the day. One had a magnificent stained-glass window of Celestia and Luna imprisoning a weird creature made up of all sorts of animal parts and stone and so on. Soon, she was standing outside an unassuming door of solid wood, and the guard nodded to it. He turned around and left the bat pony alone there to wonder what was behind the door. She reached for the knob, and a musical note rang out. "Oh, dear me, I didn't know Shining was expecting you." Angel turned to see a bright pink alicorn with a pale yellow and royal purple mane smiling at her. She had deep magenta eyes and seemed to smile through them too. Angel yelped slightly and threw her face on the floor, landing with a thud. It hurt her snout, but she made no noise in the presence of Princess Cadence herself. Cadence's face melted to one of concern as her horn glowed. "Are you all right, young one?" she asked gently, but with concern as Angel's head lifted up. Just fine, ma'am, Angel blurted out, nervous. She was unsure of what the Princess of Love wanted with her, but she did her best to keep a straight face. Cadence grinned at her and said, Silly pony, I'm only here to see my husband. He's been under a considerable amount of stress since the changeling attack. Angel wondered if she could read minds and reached over to the door. It creaked open and Cadence smiled sincerely. Thank you. If I may ask, what's your name? Private Angel Beats, ma'am. Angel blurted out again. Well then, Private Angel Beats, will you check on the room for me? It would be mad manners for a princess to ignore the usefulness of her guards, Cadence said with a small giggle. Okay, so that was Chapter 11. Thank you guys for listening. Please leave a comment down low. That's about it. I will also put my Skype information down there, as always, a link to the chapter if you want to listen along. So yeah, that's yeah.